Britain is teetering on the edge, in danger of getting its most radical regime ever, and as the economy crumbles, the government falls and the army hovers to take control. This is not real life, for now at least, but it is the premise of a new opera, The Prometheus Revolution. I spoke to its composer and author, Keith Burstein, and asked him if he was really talking about Brexit and a Corbyn Britain.
I was kind of inspired initially by the Occupy movement and their kind of meme about the 99% and then the 1% of the 1%. And that brought to mind the Prometheus myth of Prometheus who stole the fire of the gods to give it to the mortals. It seemed like an apt metaphor. And then what followed perhaps, did reflect what the opera is about, which is a moment at which humanity moves kind of into the center stage, the kind of pinnacle hierarchies and elite structures kind of slightly melt away. And a moment comes when everyone feels, as Joe Cox said, that we have more in common than that which divides us. And at that moment, the creativity of everybody is released. And that's the revolution, that's the Prometheus revolution.
But it doesn't end happily.
Well, in the myth, it doesn't end happily. In the Prometheus myth, Prometheus is then horribly punished for his audacity of stealing the fire from the gods to give it to the mortals. And there seems to be some sort of eternal truth about that. So I reflected the myth in the story, which is that the people who carry out this transformation of society do pay a price, which very often does appear to be the case. If you think about someone like Gandhi or even a figure like John Lennon, that people who speak out, put their head above the parapet, sometimes, if you challenge any establishment, you're taking a big risk.
But it's not just, Animal Farm and the fact that when you replace one establishment, another establishment grows up.
No, opera is the realm of the impossible and the fantastical. So in this opera, I chose to indulge a fantasy in which the world actually does move beyond war. Yeah. It moves beyond the point at which we live in a society based on combat and violence.
So unusually for opera, would it be fair to say there's a happy ending there?
Yeah, there is a deeply optimistic ending to the opera, yes, which is that society itself takes a fundamental quantum leap across a boundary line that we've so far only approached, but show no sign of getting across.
But this is fantasy. You don't expect it to happen.
Well, who knows? The fact is we do live in revolutionary times, don't we? Who amongst us would have predicted 3 or 4 years ago Trump, Corbyn, Brexit? No one, including them. So we are actually in the middle of a revolution in which all bets are off.
But they're not necessarily revolting in the direction which you'd like to go.
Well, it's a very complex picture, isn't it? But I think one thing I do